Hello and welcome to level 59 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. I am Jeremy, here once again with three compadres. Now, of course, I have David.
What up?
I have Corey.
Good evening, players.
Very unfortunate voice there. And special guest judge for this version of PvP, I have Big Beard Josh.
Hello. And yo.
All right. We said we were doing it last level. And, Corey made some damaging, disparaging remarks about the integrity of this contest. But I assure you, this is a contest of integrity, first and foremost. So, let's see. Gentlemen, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
I feel great. I'm 3-0. I've swept you two out of the room, and now I get to do. I mean, geez, I don't want to use unfortunate words. I get to do both you at the same time.
What?
Are we going to France or?
What is going on right now?
I swept each of you. Now I get to do both of you at the same time.
This is a PG-13 show.
So are we visiting the Eiffel Tower?
I mean, you say it's PG-13, but according to what David said last episode with DP and TP or something,
Okay.
I never even heard of that.
Okay. I mean,
This is
sure.
amazing.
I understand that. I mean, I'm doing my best to keep this as a all family oriented show, I guess, about gaming. I mean, if you guys want to take it there, remember, I host games WTF, so obviously I'm not adverse to profanity and language, but I mean, let's try to keep it clean. All right, Corey, especially Corey, very dirty.
Well, Josh doesn't
Yeah, I
mind. He
can't
didn't minus
believe
any
you.
points for me. That's all I'm saying.
well,
Not yet, at least.
Not yet.
Thank you. There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, chickens, ducks, and hens. If you do know, remember that we have 5 topics that we debate. 4, we kind of have an idea what's going on, and then 1 mystery question. Again, that was a tradition started by David, incidentally.
Yeah,
but
what question is that?
On accident. Yeah, incidentally.
but it's worked out well.
It has.
Yeah. So, we're any last words before our competition here to one another, and let's keep it a little bit cleaner here, please, people.
Have fun judging.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Well, Josh, I turn it over to you. First debate topic is whatever you want. You let it rip.
I'm gonna intro this a little. Are y'all ready for this 5-round bout between 3 heavyweight opponents?
Yeah.
Let's get it cracking. So, for the first question, I'm gonna tee it up, and then whoever wants to go first can go. What is the best, worst gaming feature that changed gaming for the better?
Mhm. What is
So already we're getting a little bit of a Jeremy advantage here because the question was the best. I thought I didn't know there was a worst option, but I will start off and I will say the best. You said feature?
Best, worst feature. So, of the worst features, what was the best one of the most terrible features?
I will let someone else take it because I took the question the wrong way. So now I have to.
Yeah, so did I. You didn't.
I think
the
Okay. You tricked
best
us.
worst feature?
Yeah.
There was no trickery afoot, but I do understand now the best worst feature.
Yes.
Well, let's see here. I think the best worst feature, but I don't know if it's a worst feature. The best worst feature, I am going to say is, oh God, this is going to be terrible. It's QTEs,
What is that?
quick time events.
Also,
Now-
like Destiny.
Now, like a cutscene that's happening, and then it says press A. You got to press A real quick, or if you don't, you fail, or something like that, right? So even though they are a crutch in gaming, right? I understand that they aren't good. What they did do is, I believe, they propelled games to have to create more dynamic and interesting cutscenes in video games. Because before they were pretty dry, but now that you got QTEs happening, you gotta, make some more action, something more dynamic happening. And I think QTEs kind of pushed that along, obviously to a not great end, but I do think that helped make gaming better. So I'm gonna go with QuickTime events. I hate QuickTime events. I really don't want to defend it that much, but I will go with QuickTime events as a best worst, I think.
That is a nice one.
Thanks.
David, it's all on you, man. Like I said, I was sent the wrong question, so now I'm fumbling.
So,
Sorry about that.
That's on Jeremy.
yeah, he typed it in wrong.
Sorry, I
'Cause
typed
we were
it
just
wrong.
told what feature has changed gaming for the better.
Yeah. I guess I can
mean,
go.
I will honestly
but-
leave it up to, even though Jeremy answered it, like, do we?
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll get it.
Okay.
We'll get
Okay.
it.
So here's
Okay.
what I'll do.
We're
I'll
good.
answer it both ways because I had a really good answer for the first way, and I have a slightly okay answer for the way you described it, which it's your question. So that one should be the one that goes on. I'm going to say I don't even know if there's like a word for it, but in Prince of Persia, you would have to line up these ledge jumps and do the climbing mechanisms and like click A to jump over obstacles and stuff. And when they made the Assassin's Creed games, they made it pretty much an auto runner type thing. When you're holding on to R, you automatically jump over things, you automatically grab ledges, you automatically, when you jump, you grab onto things. And even though that seems like kind of like they're dumbing the game down, like, oh, they've taken away the skill. No, they made it more accessible. They made it easier. They made it more fun. It's not fun trying to line up a jump and then tapping A at the right time so you grab onto the ledge. You want to get into the best part of those games, which is the running gun, the action. So in my opinion, what people thought was a negative, like Assassin's Creed, it's just an auto run thing. No, it's actually better overall. And you see so many games do it now where you don't have to tap A to jump over stuff or go through doors or mash A to get through stuff. It automatically happens, which is just making things quicker, easier, better.
I like that.
Yeah,
It makes
that's a good
sense.
one.
David, you all right, man?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
He
Okay,
is-
so I'm
he's
just
shook.
not sure if it fits because it's an amazing feature,
But was it bad?
but it kind of is. I kind of honestly want to say multiplayer.
Oof.
Oh, jeez. God,
That's
David.
juicy though.
That is juicy.
That's
Because it's amazing that you can play with your friends and with randoms and all this, but also the gaming community has gotten so toxic, and then there's all this hacking of accounts and stealing them because all you need is a email and a password. It's gotten so much easier to lose your stuff, and then like even the games I play that are only on live and they die, you just lose everything. I don't have a Apex disc I can keep forever. It's gone. So I
That
feel
is true.
like it started well, but I think they kind of took it down a path it might not have had to.
Like,
if I could counter both of their points, Josh, if you would give me a second.
go ahead. Sure.
All right. So first of all, multiplayer, David. That is since the dawn of gaming. That is not a feature. That is gaming. Gaming is multiplayer. It's always been
Yeah, but like
a multiplayer
not
focused.
like
It's a multiplayer focused hobby. So to say that was like of course that is video gaming. So that's a weird answer. And Jeremy,
But like
you know in your
online.
heart, that you're lying about QTEs. What do QTEs do? QTEs take the coolest parts of games and they take them away from you. Usually in a QTE, your character is doing magnificent things and you're not doing any of it. You're tapping A or you're tapping R or you're moving to the right, left. So QTEs did not become good, and multiplayer has always been a part of gaming. So to say it's
Not
the best
online.
feature, no, not online. But I mean, it's hard to deny the success.
Online. My bad.
Unfortunately, Corey, I gotta disagree with that one. Like with
About the
with
QTEs or the multiplayer.
because like it wasn't a thing until the Xbox 360. Well, it was
Well,
like the end of the Xbox into Xbox 360, and it was really like Microsoft that paved the way for that feature to actually grow. And with Xbox Live, it actually increased it so substantially. And then you also had Halo, and then all of a sudden it was Call of Duty. So like majority of the games was all story based or platforming games, and then all of a sudden that feature exploded because of Xbox Live and people being able to communicate across countries and towns.
Well, at
Because it
first
actually started with LAN.
At first, he did just say multiplayer. He didn't
Yeah,
specify online multiplayer.
I didn't specify online.
Yeah.
Because something like Pong, one of the first video games ever, that's multiplayer.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
arcade machines. You've
Right.
been playing multiplayer. The Simpsons. Turtles. Yeah, big difference. Big difference. You are right, Corey.
Yeah, I legit went straight to online multiplayer. My bad.
Yeah, he just likes to be semantic.
I think we understood the spirit of what David was saying, and Corey likes to be tentacle sometimes to kind of corner people into points. The argument you made against QTEs, from a standpoint of that they hobble or they take control away from the player, right? That could be an argument that could be made if that was the lane I was going with QTEs. The lane I was going in regards to that is that QTEs, I believe, have contributed into an increase of quality of the way developers choose to tell games, whether it be cutscenes or narratives, because you can't just have a static image, i.e. Final Fantasy or whatever JRPG from the 90s, where you just stand there and wonk, 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 and that's all the cutscene needed to be. It added dynamicism to it. When you add dynamics, that carries over from the cutscenes into the gameplay, from the gameplay into the cutscenes, so on and so forth.
No one is saying that the screen has to be static. You can have motion. You can have things going wild on your screen. Take, for instance, a game I'm playing recently, Resident Evil 4. There's a scene in there where he's jumping through lasers. Correct, David?
Yes.
Yes, there's a whole laser room where he's
original.
jumping through it. In the original, it's not in the new one, but he's jumping through lasers. That's a QTE section. They could either take out the QTEs and just have it where you succeed, or just have you play a version of that. Instead, they put you in the middle of a cutscene, and then in the middle they say, "Hey, press X real quick," and then you die, and you instantly come back to that moment just to press X. What was the point? They're pointless. Either just show us the cutscene without the QTEs, or have us play it, because that was a really cool scene. Either have us play it or just have it be a cutscene.
Okay, yeah, sure. My argument is that they may not attempt to make it seem like that if they weren't thinking in their mind first, how can we create something that's dynamic and cool, that's also interactive?
Make it playable.
How can we tell it that way?
Make it playable.
Yeah,
doesn't make
I
any
mean,
sense.
you could make it playable, but then you have to have those kind of movements and abilities throughout the entire game, because what's the point of having them for
And
5 seconds?
there's some stylistic choices, there's some animation choices that aren't available in gameplay that they show in those cutscenes that were QTE that later on were like translated over into being cutscenes, just natural cutscenes for the game. Or they may have found some different type of animation or movement set in those QTEs that they then adopted later on into gameplay mechanics. If you're making the argument, well, I would prefer to play it versus QTE it, I agree. That's not the argument I'm making.
Yeah, I agree too.
Okay, I guess your argument is QTEs eventually lead to something down the line, which, okay, I don't agree with. But
that's the question.
neither here nor there.
What feature, good or bad, change gaming for the better? It's about change, right? It's about evolution, right?
You didn't point to anything specific, so I find it hard to believe that was something that happened. But I guess we don't have to point to specifics on this show.
That's a nonsensical argument.
Why
compared
are
to
you
your
not a
specifics?
lawyer?
What was your specific even about? It was about, in Assassin's Creed, you got to line up jumps. But in Assassin's Creed, you don't have to line up jumps. Like if the genre of platformer doesn't exist anymore, but you still have to line up jumps.
I gave the example of Prince of Persia was a game where you had to line up jumps and carefully click A when you get to that ledge, and instead they made it into Assassin's Creed. I gave a specific example of how it was and then how it is now.
So what feature that was bad that then became the lineup jump thing?
The platforming of jumping and not jumping in general. No, not the platforming of wall climbing. The wall climbing thing that you see in Uncharted, Prince of Persia, Horizon. All those games have changed. All those
Game of the Year games you just mentioned?
Now they're Game of the Years because I think in part they made that section a lot more fun. You don't have to struggle to get these jumps. It's pretty much a guarantee. Examples. I gave them.
That example doesn't work. There's infamous death mechanics or death animations in Tomb Raider when you aren't able to land grabs from jumps. So that's not something that transferred over. The example you're talking about applies specifically to the Assassin's Creed franchise. So one franchise benefited from an evolution of a mechanic that other games haven't even adopted yet.
That's not nearly true, but okay.
It's a very flawed argument. I'm very surprised by it for it.
I gave examples. That's all I'm saying.
I just summarize it as interactive surroundings, meaning ladders and those type of jumps. But I understood it, but then it was also kind of confusing. But then it was if it was just if he just went on and said it was interactive surroundings of different areas, then I would probably understand it. But I don't know.
That's a good way to put it. Interactive surroundings. Usually the game would kind of hurt you to try to make those things happen. Instead, it's pretty much on autopilot now. But I digress.
I mean, I'm already liking this debate. Half the time I should be integrating or voicing my opinion or at least egging everything on. But mind you, half the time I'm just laughing because I actually get to watch this bickering back and forth, and I just love it.
Yeah, I'll start it for you, Josh. Don't worry. All right.
It's half the reason I'm here.
All righty. So wonderful start to the first question. I appreciate all of the commentary, my fair, wonderful gentlemen. So on to question 2. What do you think is the biggest problem in the gaming industry? What do you think is the biggest problem in the gaming industry?
I'll go first. And it's not even the one that I have lined up here as my answer, but I just thought of it, which means it will be brilliant.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
The biggest problem in gaming, stockholders, public companies, investments. The fact that these companies are being driven by the stock, the NYSE, it messes up everything. You have to have certain dates that you adhere to publish a game and put it out in order to hit certain financials, marks, and you have to make sure it goes. Then if it's not ready or whatever, we have to still get it out. We have to do whatever, right? We have to make sure that there's profitability involved. So we have to figure out ways to make money evergreen on these games. So let's put in, things like loot boxes. Let's put in battle passes and all these different things so we can try to increase the monetization of this game, right? It results in companies rushing to put out games, inferior games. It results in them crunching their employees, right? Where they aren't able to maintain any kind of good mental wellness, that they have to sacrifice time with their family, or vacation, or just general wellness, right? And it also leads to them creating games where profitability is first. That's what's first. How can this game make as much money as possible, right? You see it prevalent in live services all the time. This is why we have Avengers. This is why we have Division. This is why we had Anthem. Stockholders. That's the problem.
I didn't even see that one coming.
I didn't either until about seconds ago.
No, it was a great answer, Jeremy.
Uh-oh.
Because that was my answer.
I
have that written down.
Well,
that's why it was a great answer. So good for you.
Let's see how you build upon it.
We'll let David go next. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if it's as big as that one, but the community.
This guy is
As I
really
was-
hating on the community. This
Yeah,
guy
well,
hates
I'm liking
people.
this. Take.
I
I'm
enjoy
saying
it.
though,
God.
there's so much toxicity lately, and it's only gotten worse over the years. For example, Corey, since you love examples, the
Ooh.
voice actress for
I do.
Ada
He's not lying. I like
in Resident
examples.
Evil 4 had to turn off and stop everything on her social medias because she got so much flack and death threats and this and that and the other because people didn't like her voice in the new one. They made her get off the internet because of how bad these people were acting
Over voice acting in a video
over
game.
voice acting.
That is crazy.
So one, Capcom is a huge, huge business. If they thought it was good enough for them, we should be complaining to them, first off. Second, as somebody who's in a business where you just do what you can do, and either the people that have authority either use it or don't, it's now up to them. You give what you give. That's all you can do. So using her as a great example is just, why are we so toxic? Why are we so hateful? Before we always just used to love waiting for the games and just going off on how awesome they are, and what came out. Nowadays, even stuff that isn't live, like Apex, like Street Fighter, for example, they can get new characters or whatever. They have updates. It's in everything now. You can't just get a game and then that's what it is. Because
Not bad.
community is just asking for more and more, and they want it now. And when you get it now and it's not ready, like Cyberpunk, we get that fiasco. And then how many people complained about that game?
See, it felt like billions.
Felt like everybody.
Literally 98% of people that played that.
Even
All right.
even this
That's mine.
podcast.
Going third sucks. Let me just tell you that. Obviously, I was going to talk about developer greed, which Jeremy was pretty much hit on with the stock market and the stockholders. But I'm not just going to agree with Jeremy. I'm going to think of another point on the spot that will blow your minds away. Now, Josh, let me ask you: are you a fan of the GTA series of video games?
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell me when the last GTA game came out?
Yes, it was with the 360. It was
GTA
GTA 4 or GTA 5. So
GTA
that was
5 on the 360. We are talking about a developer who needs to go bigger and badder, and they have skipped generations of console, a whole generation of console where they did not put a GTA on there because guess what? It needs to be bigger. It has to be better. The graphics have to be amazing. It has to have every feature in it. And that's the biggest problem in gaming right now. So many companies aren't content with making a game that's like within a certain bubble. You look at something like the Elder Scrolls. You had Morrowind on the Xbox. You had Oblivion on the 360. You had Skyrim. You had Skyrim on the 360 as well. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you had two Elder Scrolls on a console, and then they just skip PS4. Why? Because the development of these games are getting so intense, so much money to actually develop them, that it's really hurting these companies to put out games that we as gamers really like. And you see this across a lot of developers. It takes years in between sequels, and it's just like, I want a GTA. I want to play that. I want to play the new Elder Scrolls. The next Fallout 4 came out, in 2013. We're not going to see another Fallout, a mainline Fallout. I know 76 came out, but we're not going to see another main Fallout game for another 5, 6, 7, 8 years. This is the biggest problem. The games we want to play are being developed, but it's too much. They're trying to get the best technology when I think us as gamers would be very satisfied with a really good product that maybe doesn't have top of the line graphics. And I think that's the biggest problem is we're not getting the games that we want because developers are just taking, at this point, a decade or more to make a game.
So I got a rebuttal for this.
Yes.
Let's create some context, right? So like, what are you, at least with what you're actually going at with like talking about GTA developers and developing like different games and products, like are you actually referring to like a subset of group of people that's actually like for or against that? Like just one game for let's say 10 plus years, but then if you take GTA and then you look at like series like CS:GO that's been successful for I don't know, like forever. That is like another product that has been continuously developed, and they're just now getting into CS:GO. That is actually CS:GO 2, that is actually revolutionizing like the gaming. So like, I feel like when you have an like a developer or a game that's actually cultivating just for that group of people that is thriving or wanting that, then I can see it happening. I do agree with your point that certain games actually milk it too much. And like I will actually say that it should have been like geared towards like the sports games and like them just milking everybody's money just continuously just for that piece. But I do like your point.
Yeah, I'm not saying live service games. Live service games have a different prerogative than games like GTA. I know GTA has online, and that's really helped them.
Yeah.
But something like Skyrim or something like Fallout, they don't have that live service where they keep making money. It's just the development is taking forever. And I don't see why they couldn't go back to that, because we had I'm not sure of the timeline exactly, but we had GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas all on the same console. We had three huge GTAs
Right, yeah,
that
on the
all got amazing scores all on the same console. We will never see that again. We will never. It's impossible. They're, like I said, they're skipping whole generations. So it's kind of disappointing.
I was going to say, just adding to your point, even like, what was it, Liberty City Wars, the Ballad of Gay Tony, like those other offshoots.
Yeah, DLC
also,
as well.
Yeah.
And it's not just unique to Rocksteady. We have something like Super Smash Bros. Rockstar. Oh, I could say Rocksteady too. Rocksteady made 2 games on the Xbox 360, and then they made one for the PS4, and then they're 3-4 years into the PS5 life cycle before their next one. It's been 7 years. So, but yes, Rockstar. But we look at something like Super Smash Bros., who only gets it once a console generation. We have Zelda. It's just these developments are so long. When previously it was like, hey, Ocarina of came out, next year Majora's Mask came out. We want more games. We want to play games. So I kind of give props to companies like From Software, where they release a Souls game that's unique. They don't make just sequels. You go from Bloodborne to Sekiro to Elden Ring. 3 unique games, all in the same style, all within just 3-4 years. Or I had another one, but I'm going to throw it back to someone else because I already forgot it.
Okay, I'll build on what you're saying. Is I understand when some things take a while, like say The Last of Us, it took 10 years for the part 2 to come out, and there's so much of that game that they have to make. There's so much scenery, so much characters, so much this and that, but it's also they could be doing other smaller things. Like indie games are huge. Yeah, it's smaller indie people making them, so the cost doesn't cost as much, and they can make more with less, but they could be doing the same thing.
I guess, yeah, I understand. I guess my question is like Naughty Dog, right? They made Jak and Daxter.
Mm-hmm.
They had 3 Jak and Daxters come out on the PS2, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was open world. I know that for a fact. Jak and Daxter 2, I believe, was open world. So, like, yes, it's not as detailed as The Last of Us, but for its time, it was probably decently detailed. So, like, what has stopped Naughty Dog from making 3 games in a generation to making The Last of Us 1 on the PS3 and then The Last of Us Part 2 at the very tail end of the PS4? Like,
would you say that that's a part of like what David said, like community? Like community actually plays a community of that game actually plays a part in how profitable or unprofitable that game is, or how far along those developers go to make it.
I think what leads it. Sorry to cut in. I think what leads it is profitability. Right? We're talking about Naughty Dog had to do The Last of Us. If I'm remembering correctly, Uncharted is Naughty Dog. And at that time, I think Uncharted was deemed to be a more profitable IP, or at least a more mainstream IP. So there's probably a directive of, hey, we want to make sure that we're getting a lot more money. This thing is a larger brand, at least at the time. So let's focus on that so we can try to get this money coming in. I think that's what's dealing with a lot of these different things that are going on. That's the reason. Bethesda, we know that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a bot. So take as long as you need to make it as big as you can to insert as many different ways to monetize. Because, I mean, we looked at Fallout 76. We know they're going to be taking some of those tactics and bringing them into Oblivion. Even if Oblivion is a single player focused game, they're going to be trying to find some of those ways to add monetization mechanics into it. So I think that's helping blow out these budgets, make these productions take so much longer, that they're trying to, it's Marvel, right? We're going to take time to make the $1 billion thing so we can make billions more, rather than focus on things that are more concentrated, maybe a bit more artistically oriented.
But what has changed from Oblivion to Skyrim to Elder Scrolls 6? Oblivion to Skyrim was a masterpiece. People love it. It was game of the year. It's still looked at fondly. What changed from Oblivion to Skyrim, which I don't know the timeline of how long it took them, but it wasn't as long as Skyrim to this next game. It had to be within 4 or 5 years. Or if that could have been 2 or 3.
Sure, but
so what is going on?
Well,
why is it taking forever?
Is that Oblivion was successful? Skyrim was a behemoth. So then instead of creating the next one, they re-released Skyrim 5 more times. So because we can make more money, we can milk more money off this IP. And it can help, subsidize, if not completely offset the cost of making this next one. Because this next one is better. It better make more money than Skyrim did. That's what's making everything as cuckoo as it is.
Well, like my point is, and that's what's killing gaming to me. Because it's always got to be bigger. It's always got to be better. It's always got to be more extravagant. And you take a work cycle, a development cycle that was 2-3 years, and now you're making it 10 years. So one company is working on a single game for 10 years. And it's like, we're not even seeing that company for a whole generation of gaming. And it sucks for us as gamers.
We're only 2 questions in, and this is amazing conversations that we're having. Loving this. Loving this. At least a point update. It's pretty much neck and neck right now with everybody. Just letting everybody know,
I would think as much.
This, it's going to get crazy with these last 3 questions. So let's get to it. So question number 3. Let's move right along. I'm loving the conversations and loving that it's keeping going and keeping some healthy debates going on. I want to see some more of this.
All right.
Are you sweating?
Listen, I'm pouring my heart and soul into this, all right? And it's warm, all right? We haven't turned the heat, air on yet.
It's hot in here.
We haven't turned the air on yet, all right? It's hot.
Do you need to get a fan? Just so you
I have a fan. I'm beat right. I can feel it.
I just thought you were mad at Jeremy, but that's not the point. All right. So I love all the talk about like games and the community, where we've been going with everything. But this next question is going about completing the game. So what makes video games rewarding to complete in today's time, right? I know one of the conversations or one of the episodes that y'all was talking about, like, as we gotten older, especially for us millennials that's in the older space, that we're working, we got families now, we have kids, some of us are married. So like, what makes video games rewarding to complete, especially in today's age?
That's a great question.
It is a great question.
I'll go. I kind of want to refer to my question before, why gaming? And it's the rewards that come out of it. So this really works well. And it's essentially the same as if you have this project at home and you have to, fix a wall. You fix that wall, it feels so good. But some people don't want to fix that wall. They'll just have someone pay and get it fixed. But with gaming, you beat The Last of Us. You have that whole story in your head now. You took all that time to complete it. You see the protagonist go through all these emotions. So it's a lot. You can take in all of this experience without actually ever having to leave a chair.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
You do all this hard work when it's not hard work. It's just moving your fingers. Sometimes you might try, but story depending.
Yeah, if I may take over, Dave, and give my answer here.
Yeah.
Gaming is a hobby. For 99.9% of us, we don't get paid to game. It's not something we write about. And even this podcast, we do it for love of gaming. So it is 100% a hobby. And when you do any hobby and you really put yourself into that hobby, it's really all about the self-satisfaction. Everyone is going to have a different reason why it's so rewarding, but to each person it's their own separate thing. Kind of going back to like the question we asked a few weeks ago, I think it's very similar of a question. Like you may play a game to beat a very tough game and you feel accomplished, like, oh, I worked hard, I got this thing. You may be playing Minecraft and you want to build, and you want to build the best house you can, the best base that you can, and that feels really gratifying after it's all said and done. It might be a multiplayer game where you're just getting into action with your friends and you're competing and you're winning, and the thrill of winning is what pushes you forward. All those can be excellent answers. It's really up to the individual person to decide, hey, why is gaming rewarding to me? For me, it's a little bit of all those things. I really enjoy going through the process of a game, seeing the world, seeing the gameplay, and most importantly, the fun factor. I like to have fun. Like I said, it's a hobby. If I'm ever playing a game and I'm like, man, I'm not feeling this, then I shouldn't be playing it, because this is what we choose to spend our free time on. So that's my answer.
Nice.
I like it.
Very nice answer. A bit drawn out, but very nice.
Oh,
I would
okay.
say that what I find the most rewarding about video games in today's age is again, the impact, going back to why we game, the impact that we can feel like we make in games, right? And also the stories that come from that. So, hey, I can't fix the American economy in the real world, right? But I can kind of make an attempt to fix it in a video game. And I can have the story of how I tried to do that, right? Hey, I'm not an Ashanti chieftain in the real world, right? I can't experience that. But I could play a video game and I can try to make my impact as an Ashanti chieftain, and I can tell you a story about how I tried to kill this baby as I did, right? That's the one of the great rewarding things of playing video games, is that you can feel like you're leaving your mark in situations, circumstances where you feel like you may not be able to in the real world, or you may not have had a chance, especially if you're a history geek like I am. I love to be able to relive and kind of experience what may have been in the past. So.
To go on to Jeremy's point a little bit, I don't know if you guys ever heard an older person be like, why don't you just play basketball outside? Play basketball in real life. And I think that's part of the rewarding factor. I'm not in the NBA. I can't get in the NBA, but I can take over LeBron James and play as if I was him. I can take over Patty Mahomes and play as if I'm him. I can play Spider-Man. I can be Spider-Man. And if the game is good, it really gives you that feeling of that. And games put you into that perspective of whatever character they made. And that's why I find those interesting characters, and I'm like, man, for a short period of time, I actually did feel like I was that character. So that's extremely rewarding.
Oh yeah. And even if it's not something as grand, right? Like there's like games where you can role play as a baker, and people are just like, "Oh, I'm into it, man. I gotta make my breads." And
it was
like farming.
Overcooked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're a chef, and then you have to make all these foods. Yeah, there's so many different kind of simulators. Farming simulator, that mowing simulator, goat simulator. It just goes on and on, like based on Corey's answer. You get to be all these things that you can't otherwise be in real life. Like, I can't survive a zombie apocalypse in real life. Are you kidding me? Resident Evil, I can keep dying and trying and survive it eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm liking this. It's still neck and neck, just letting y'all know. I'm not giving any hint as who is ahead. I like the anonymous, because it's like everybody's fighting for their life, trying to figure out like who is actually winning.
It's a little more tension-based.
Every answer has to be perfect.
I would say this. I would give a hint once we get to the mystery question. So we got one more question before the mystery question.
Okay.
And then that's when I'll give a hint at who's winning and we'll just go and proceed from there. But I do like the context. Everybody made some great points.
Corey, do you need like some water, a glass of water?
I'm thinking about my next answer already.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
And I feel like it could bury me. I'm not
Okay.
sure if it could.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about or foreshadowing the next question, let's get to the next question. So, what games? Well, no, not what games. What game? Or let me actually go back because I actually couldn't read my writing because I had terrible writing in this picture. What genre of games should be removed completely from video game history? Who wants to take the first stab?
If you guys don't mind if I take this first, like I said, I think this could bury me potentially if I choose a genre that you really like. I hope I bring a good enough points. The easy answer would be like gotcha games, games where it's like a random chance and you put money into it. Of course, those games get put away, buried 6 feet under. But the genre I'm going to choose, like I said, this might be very controversial. It's action RPGs, which is a huge genre of game. You could almost classify probably like 75% of games right now as action RPGs. But let me tell you why they should be abolished. Because they don't do anything unique. Every action RPG is the same. They take an action game and they give it slight RPG elements. But the RPG elements they give it are not exciting. A lot of the times, and both you can verify this, if you're playing a shooter, it may say something like 5% more damage. 5% more damage, like you don't notice that. And you're making it seem like I'm gaining a level when in RPGs, gaining a level is kind of like a really big thing. I got new stats. I might have got a new spell. In action RPGs, it's not. It's usually a sliver of an upgrade where it's like, oh, your accuracy is 10% better. Like, no, just cut those two genres out. Make a pure action game or make a pure RPG game. Now, no one's saying the RPG game can't be action oriented, but I'm talking about things like Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Forbidden West or God of War or, something like that, where it's definitely an action game, but they also give you like levels and you increase stuff, but it's just not satisfying or fun. So action RPGs, split them up. Make the best action game you can or make the best RPG game you can.
But to your point, like you mentioned like God of War, but isn't God of War like an action RPG?
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. But the RPG aspect of it, when you gain levels, it's just not exciting. You gain like a new move or, like I said, a slight upgrade. Like this move, the fire damage is 10% better. That's not something we notice. That's not something that you can see on screen. Like it's just not satisfying.
I definitely agree with you in a sense of that, like pick one because 10% of 20 damage is 2 damage.
You just
what is that going to do?
It's almost like they're trying to like tick a box in our brain. Hey, you got to level up. You get a reward. And it's like the reward means nothing. Just Jeremy, you have a lot to say. It looks like, man. You are moving like a squirrel.
10% of 20 damage is 2 damage. Yeah, it's 2 damage. What are you talking about here?
Well, when the guy has 800 health,
and when you grind and when you work
10, like what is that? 10 attacks is gonna matter.
And when you played an hour of gameplay to get that 10%, and that's just an example. Like there's like I said, there's other examples where you just don't get very strong power-ups.
There's a thing that happens. There's a term. It's called accumulation. Okay. What that 2% to 5% or 2 points to 5 points may not seem like a lot initially, but if you think about the amount of less swings you eventually have to take to kill a thing after you progress and level it up to a point, then it makes sense. It drastically reduces it.
And you know what's fun about those games? They also increase the enemies. So that 2% in another area doesn't mean anything because the enemies are that much harder. Just give us fun things to do. Those are the weakest kind of upgrades, and you see them in every action RPG. Just separate it, make it an action game. You can still get rewards, you can still get weapons or armor, but just cut out the crap, cut out the levels, cut out the very small minimal upgrades. Give us a fun action game or give us a straight up RPG.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make the room silent. You guys have genres
Oh, no,
of yourselves to pick.
I got
That's
one.
good.
I wanted to see if Jeremy wanted to go next or not.
Here you go.
Jeremy's stunned. He was moving like
Okay.
a squirrel in his seat.
So surprisingly, none of us, well, at least Bane people, I don't know about you, Josh. MMORPGs, like World of Warcraft.
David hates people. Oh my god.
Okay,
It's like
so
3 like
the
100
biggest
versus
thing
100.
is games like that. You need a good guild. I think is the correct term, at least for WoW. And there's been times and years where my friends wouldn't and couldn't do anything because they had to raid on Tuesdays and Thursdays or Mondays and Wednesdays or whatever schedule they set up. They turned it into like a secondary job, and they do it. They get these items potentially. It has like a 4% drop. Talking about percentages again, and they don't get them ever. Basically, like it's a hobby, right? Like hang out with your friends every once in a while. Oh, we can't make plans on Tuesdays because Kyle can't come, so can't do that.
I mean,
Like
I
Dungeons
tell
and
you what,
Dragons too.
you guys,
Dragons is slightly different because that's mostly like in person, or if it's not in person, it's more so easier to change schedules.
I was thinking of it as the same concept because like majority of the people that I know that like play that game, they make a day and put it on the calendar. Like this is D&D day.
Right. It's also a lot less because I do know a lot of people that play D&D and they have it like every Sunday or
And just
whatever.
to back up David here, a lot of the times the game will tell you when you have to schedule your thing because there's a raid at this time. So everyone's like, you got to be in at this time. Where D&D, you set the schedule 100% yourself.
Okay.
Right. And if you miss one too many, they cut you out of the guild. Then you have no one, and then you can't do these raids by yourself because you're just gonna get demolished. It's an 8 or 10 person raid. You're not gonna do that. I know there's very seldom people that have done it. Like I just saw one article about this guy completing a raid on Destiny 2 by himself. I don't know how hard it is or whatever, but you're not going to see that often ever. So you rely on these people, and if you want to have a life outside, it's not that great of a chance.
all
right, Jeremy, hit us with the most generic answer we've ever heard. Go ahead.
So hit you with a sensible one? Okay. Because like, yeah, we shouldn't have action RPGs. Like my favorite game of all time. Anyway,
Yeah.
Obviously the genre that we should get rid of are walking simulators. This is a layup. Games like Firewatch, Dear Esther, Remains of Finch to some extent. Get them out. You want to show us pretty places? We can kill things in pretty places. Give us something to do. Walk around. That's the one thing that most people, you said, hey, you play games, but we have to do something. What's the bare minimum you can do? Someone to say, get up and walk around. I mean, it's walking simulators. That's the genre that's to go. I mean, everyone's speechless because no one cares. And I'm even talking about walking simulators. That's how much it can be disappeared. Get rid of it. Firewatch. You guys like Firewatch? You know about Firewatch?
That is a good statement there. No one's upset about it.
No. I have a counter argument for sure for this, but
you do?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay.
So me and David were very sensible. David separated MMORPGs, right? He doesn't want that anymore. People can still get their RPG fix. I separated action RPGs. You can still get your action or RPG fix. There's nothing like walking simulators. They're wholly unique in the way that they approach a game. It's for somebody who may be like a parent or a grandparent who doesn't really have the skills to complete a game. They can still get that interactive storytelling that a game provides without having to shoot down or mow down 1,000 aliens. So, no, I think it's while it's not a genre that I enjoy too much, it's a very good genre in the state of gaming right now, and you see a lot of those. They are up for Game of the Year awards because they're kind of like the Oscar darlings.
They are.
Yeah. Journey was up there. I believe that won the Game of the Year it came out. That's a walking simulator.
What is that, like 2009?
The Walking Dead season 1, that was also up for Game of the Year. It might have won it. They're not the greatest games.
That's a click. That's like a kind of almost like a turn and click or whatever RPG type of thing. That's not really walking simulator.
I think they're a unique genre that if you get rid of them, you really don't have anything to replace them with. While me and David's are, you get rid of our genres, there's still some stuff that's pretty similar. And not to mention, you took the lowest of hanging fruit, which is what we should expect from you at this point.
That doesn't make any sense, everything you've just said. That you're saying that what, because you said action RPG? Well, you still have action and you still have RPG?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
But you don't have games that utilize both of the best of those mechanics anymore.
Right, because no game has utilized the best.
But it has though. Right?
No.
Your favorite game being one of them. They have though.
You're right, but the RPG part of that game is not good. It's not a good RPG.
Yeah.
If you look at God of War, and I said rate it as an RPG, it would be very poor.
It's not an RPG, it's an action RPG though, right?
Right, but it's two genres melded together.
Yeah.
If you say look at it as an action game, masterpiece. If you look at an RPG, what am I really getting here? Now, that's a lot of these games. Like Horizon, for instance, you look at it as an action game, excellent. You look at it as an RPG, because guess what? It has RPG in its title. It's not very good. The games that come closest might be something, and this doesn't even come close, something like Bloodborne, I guess. You know, that has a lot of min-max builds where depending on your points that you put into your levels, you know, but even that's not very rewarding in terms of the levels you get. But there is a min-max towards the end of different builds because of your level up. You just took low-hanging fruit, that's all. Walking simulators
I took a sensible genre.
Low-hanging, yeah, go ahead.
You're saying, our thing is because if you get rid of, ours are crossovers. So if you get rid of action RPGs, you still have action RPG. If you get rid of MMO RPGs, you still have MMO and RPG. Doesn't make any sense.
Oh, well, you don't have MMO. MMO just would be massively online. You need an RPG at the end of that. But yeah, walking simulators, you get rid of it. There's nothing to replace it, and they're not hurting anybody. They are unique.
What are you? They're unique. They tell stories. Games tell stories.
Interactive stories.
Yeah, games tell interactive stories, including the other games. Another interactive about The Last of Us, huh?
Right, but like a grandma could not play The Last of Us, but a grandma could play like Journey or Welcome to Rapture.
Omno.
I haven't played Omno, so could a grandma play Omno?
Kind of more of a platformer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my grandma couldn't. She's dead.
Okay.
I wish mine was.
Okay.
Oh God, David hates people.
I mean, like to Jeremy's point, it was like, well, if you want a walking simulator, why don't you just do a virtual game and just go on the treadmill and
just get in a game and walk around. Just pop in any game and walk around. What do you mean?
And you guys are the problem, because before I said, hey, has anyone ever told you to go outside and play basketball instead of playing a video game? You're doing the same thing right now. Hey, go on a treadmill, just walk around. No, there's stories that can only be told through video games.
Go on a treadmill and walk around.
That was me.
I'm not gonna
just walk around.
You said walk around. I'm not gonna do the treadmill thing. Josh is a good guy, but Jeremy, low hanging fruit.
You just pop in a game, walk around. Find a game, walk around in it.
I mean, Pokemon Go was like a walking simulator.
That's true. We don't want to get rid of Pokemon Go, would we, Jeremy? Checkmate.
Yeah, we would. Well, for one, it's not a walking simulator. It's an ARG. That's a completely different genre.
Are you yelling at Josh right now?
I'm yelling at you.
Be careful. I didn't say Pokemon Go. He said Pokemon Go. I just agreed with him.
You said, Jeremy, trying to get rid of Pokemon Go.
I mean, he's yelled at me before plenty of times. I have a memory bank of all the times that he's yelled at me. But, I mean, just give me a second to add up these points so then I can let everybody know who's ahead, and then we can get into this mystery question.
Oh boy.
I won't, Jeremy, I promise I won't take as long as Corey.
Ooh, no,
Curious
fair
as to
enough.
how far behind I am.
David, you might be winning. You hated on so many people.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And hate fuels points, man. It really does.
yeah, a very vitriolic David this evening.
I mean, you wish your grandma
Like,
was dead, bro.
She's an evil person. But anyways, like I'll go on a little bit while he's doing this. Like I know I play Apex or Overwatch or like whatever like every day. I could miss a day and it not affect a single thing.
You've been hurt, man. You've been hurt by these online games, dude.
Oh, I know.
You need to get to like a really good walking simulator, a really good oh man, the Edith Finch game was excellent. Excellent, let me tell you. What Remains of Edith Finch? It was so good. I did play that one. It was good. You should play it. Great story game, even though I don't think I recommended it on the
Tell him
podcast.
he should fire up
It's-
some Tacoma.
It's so
Huh?
weird though. Like I grew like Resident Evil 4 is my favorite Resident Evil, and I still have yet to pick it up after that first time.
I know it's weird, man. I was
I don't-
wondering that myself.
Stories aren't capturing me as much anymore, and I don't know why.
You're enraptured by the story of life.
It's not a
So-
great story.
He's got a girl now.
This is
That's
true, but
positive.
I had that problem before.
So I added up the
So.
points.
All right.
This was not my intention.
Going into the
You better not. Here's the thing. I'm just gonna preface. If Corey is somehow
don't bias him. Don't bias him, Jeremy.
No,
What are you
no.
doing?
he's already got the points added up.
No,
So I can't.
this-
I'm just saying.
no,
But I'm not even saying. I'm kind of saying.
no,
think
because
it's
I'm gonna get
tied.
bickering from everyone else as like talking about this because this was not intended. So
You could literally get up
there's
and
a
look at
two-way
it.
tie, and one person is in the lead. So the two-way tie right now is David and Corey with 13 points, and Jeremy is in the lead, ahead by 2 with 15 points, going into this mystery round.
Gotta close out. Gotta close out.
I don't see it. He hasn't made any points at all.
What are you even saying?
I mean, I will say this, Corey, like the third questions actually saved you because David was beating everybody up until that point.
That's David's MO.
I start strong and end terrible.
Drops the ball.
Like I will say this last question, he didn't make as many points, but if he did, he probably would be either tied with Jeremy or ahead by 1.
Oh, so Corey's been the worst. Huh. Surprise there.
So, are y'all ready for this?
I don't know how you
mystery
guys
question?
do it. You guys
We're ready.
always have some bickering thing to say to each other, always,
David-
and it's amazing.
David, you have been the most aggressive person this entire podcast.
Yeah,
you have
but
been
just
trying to take
against
out
everyone.
swaths of people.
But
Yeah.
you two are just
Yeah.
fueled by fire.
I
and
don't know if you
hatred
know
towards
this.
each
Me and Jeremy include everybody.
other.
All right, we got a mystery question.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
what was that?
This is where I shine. Let's do this. Come on.
So this is where the fun starts.
You shined
So
there
I'm gonna take
once.
a spin on it. Right. So everybody's been competing on with their opinions, right? So I'm gonna do a reverse setting right now. So there's 3 of you. I mixed up the people. You will take a genre from the person that I give you, and you would debate why that genre is by far the best genre in gaming.
Oh
God.
boy.
Are y'all ready?
No.
Oh boy.
I'm screwed.
I will give y'all the names. Do y'all need at least 2-3 minutes just to think about it?
We'll see.
All right. So, David,
Hmm.
your person will be Corey.
Okay.
Corey, your person will be Jeremy. And Jeremy, your person will be David.
So I have to give David a genre.
No, you have to act as if you're David and why his genre of gaming is the best, or
The one that he just said should be demolished.
whatever is his best one. Yes. Whatever
all,
one he
all
plays.
I do is play live action or
Yeah.
live, whatever it's called.
Battle Royales.
Battle Royales. It was either Battle Royales
For horror.
or horror.
I can argue either. Oh, okay, all right. I'm not going first, but
Wait, but
I have Corey, right?
And I have David.
Oh, who do I have? Jeremy?
Yeah, you have Jeremy.
Dang it.
So Jeremy, what is your?
You're going to have to argue why strategy games are the best genre of games. From my angle, that's what you're going to have to do, Corey. So I hope you've been listening. I hope you've been plugged in, buddy.
I got the most niche genre out of all of us.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, Corey, you play a lot of games, so which one am I going to have to do?
Pick one, bro. I don't care. I love every genre.
I know, that's the problem.
My favorite's probably action RPGs.
You know, he talks a lot of like weird JRPGs, you know, like Triangle Strategy, even though it's like more of a tactics game. But you know, what was the other one? Persona. You know?
I like action adventure. That's my cup of tea. The God of Wars, The Last of Us, the Spider-Mans, action adventures.
Okay.
So how do y'all feeling? Y'all need a few minutes.
I've got it. You know,
all right, let Jeremy go.
Unlike Corey,
Yeah.
I listen to people, and so I have a good feeling that I can replicate what David's argument would be.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to laugh in a good way.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to argue from David's vantage point that the best genre video game is Battle Royale. All right, let's go. I think that the best genre of game is Battle Royales. And that's because they all have a very strong game loop. You load in, you know what you're going to do, you have an understanding of the basics of the game, so I don't have to think about that. But the scenarios that I'll be presented will be different every time. So I'm in something familiar, but yet also something new, right? Also, it's challenging, right? They attract people who like competition and who like to be the best of something. And those are the games where you're gonna be able to actually put yourself up against it. If you're playing a single player game, it's you against the computer. That's not really that much of a challenge there, or not like much of a feeling of a challenge or competition. But with something like Apex or something like Overwatch, you're actually going against other people who have done the same thing to build up that skill, right? That's something that a lot of other genres, whether it be strategy games, which is really just mostly just computer. I mean, you can kind of play against other people, but it's whatever. There's ways to cheese it. Or like action RPG games, you're mostly just, playing against the computer. Again, there's not a lot of multiplayer challenge. But with games like Apex, like, look, I've diamond several times. And every time I've diamond, it was a competition. I had to beat some of the best people. And that's how I got better, And again, there's also the multiplayer chat social aspect of it, right? Like I get to load in, I can chat with people when I load in with randoms, or if I'm playing with other people that I know, I can chat with them, have that. So I'm able to have that social network happening, as well as being able to play in and get better at something. And again, I'm getting presented something different every single time. But I'm getting better as I go. So that's why I think Battle Royales, games like that, are the best genre of games.
Well done.
I like that.
Thank you.
Have some good points.
Yeah.
Who's taking the throne next?
Go on, David.
You want me to go? Okay. All right. So obviously it's not strategy games. We know what they're gonna say, but it's action adventure games, and here's why. So we have, for example, out of the blue, never even thought of it until just now, the Spider-Man games, right? You have something that you 99.9% not going to be. You're not going to be a Spider-Man. You get to feel what he's feeling. You have to deal with the consequences of being a Spider-Man. You have to deal with the consequences of trying to help everybody. Now you have targets on your back. Now you have to deal with these super villains, right? And then we can move on to the God of War series. You have to deal with these gods. They're huge. And let alone in the newer ones, you have to try and make sure your kid is safe. That's multitasking if I've ever seen it. And then let's go with Breath of the Wild. You're just a guy that doesn't talk, trying to save the world, get the Triforce, beat Ganondorf, another little super villain guy. Some superpowers, some not. That game is a 40, 50-hour game at least if you don't do side quests. These games, Battle Royales, yeah, you can put 1,000 hours into it. You don't gain nothing. You're not learning of this amazing story. It has some lore that's not in the game. You have to watch little scenarios on YouTube and whatever they put them on. But these action games, you get to watch these stories unfold. And a lot of the time, you don't expect some of these. It's out of left field. And not only that, you get to feel all these emotions. There's actions that you feel infuriated with, right? Then there's other actions where you feel sad and heartbroken. You get to live through these characters that you play, and I don't think there's anything better than that.
Oh,
making a strong case.
That's the best Corey's ever sounded.
But there is something better than that, David. I will tell you what's better than that. Strategy games are better than that. And I don't have to pretend to be Jeremy, because in my heart of hearts, I know that strategy games are the best genre of games. Why? Because strategy games tell the best stories. What do you mean they tell the best stories? Something like The Last of Us is amazing at telling a story. The Last of Us presents a story. In strategy games, you are building your own story. I can guarantee you there was many a night where Jeremy and Josh were playing Civilization together, and they each picked a leader that they really thought was cool, and they went at it. And they could probably recreate and retell that story to me by heart and give me all these big moves that they made throughout the night and how they were able to achieve this and that. So the stories that you can tell in strategy games are amazing. Not to mention, a strategy game can be something as simple as running a zoo, running a city, or running a country, trying to take over the world, trying to take over space, trying to build colonies, trying to build life. There is so much things that you can do in strategy games that are just so unique. And like I said, the storytelling is bar none the best part of that, because those are stories that you remember forever, the stories that you create yourself.
Okay. I'm liking this.
Wow.
Now, unlike the other times, any last remarks or last rebuttals? Like, whoever wants to take the floor can go. I'm giving everybody an opportunity. Like, here's an opportunity to stack up some more points. So let's get it.
Yeah, I will just rebuttal battle royales real quick. And I will be David in this instance. The community is garbage, and it really hurts it in the long run because of how bad the community is.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong, because it's right.
Okay. First, David, I need you to not endorse anything he says. We are in the fight of our life.
He's endorsed everything I've said. He's endorsed everything. He's everything. You've been really supportive of me today. I appreciate that.
I'm going to rebut strategy games. Just from the standpoint that, like, for one, there's a reason why they've become progressively less popular than they were in the past, right? They get bogged down in a lot of different systems, like a lot of them just system, currency system, civilization system, space system, whatever else, right? And so it gets a lot of really convoluted. Also, the play times for games, like, you can't sit down and play 30 minutes of Civilization or 30 minutes of, Europa, whatever it is, right?
Can you play 30 minutes of Software Inc? Can you play 30 minutes of Zoo or Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Exactly the same thing. You can't really play 30 minutes of those games.
Sure you can.
So, you never played Software Inc. You never played it.
I played.
It's on your wish list, but you never played it.
I played Roller Coaster Tycoon. I know you can play a half hour.
Oh yeah, in 1997. Buddy.
I'm just saying, there's strategy games, man.
So anyway, before I was really interrupted, you can't just sit down for 30 minutes or 20 minutes and just play these games. You have to invest a lot of time into them in order to really get into the meat of what the game is offering you, right? So that's like another thing that kind of makes it where strategy games aren't really the best. Where with a battle royale, I can sit down 20, 30 minutes, I can probably get 2-3 matches in, and I feel like I'm satisfied for that amount of time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
as
with-
far
with
as like
your skill.
playing the game, you know. So if I want to play it longer, I can play it longer, but I can get meaningful play time in shorter doses than something compared, you know, to like a strategy game, you know. And also, yeah, like if you create your own story, that's if you want to do that. But if you're someone that, you know, maybe like doesn't like people, you know, you don't really have anyone to create those stories and tell them with yourself. So it's nice to have like an overarching narrative that you can kind of buy into and then go along with in the story instead of having to lift the weights of something else, which is like creating my own story in addition to having to do all these other things in a strategy game.
Okay. My rebuttal for both, actually, let's start with strategy. It's an amazing thing. You can create your own stories. You have a story to tell. But the problem is, if you play that game enough and you recreate all these different stories, and you just create and create, you eventually forget most of them. Yeah, you'll have a good one or two. But with action and adventure, that story is just set in stone. If you ever forget anything about it, you can go back and play it. Easy peasy. Now, battle royales, yeah, you can just drop in, do what you need to do, but it's mind numbing. What is coming from that? It's you get anger, you get rage because your teammates aren't doing what they need to do, or you're versing predators when you're only in plat. That is all rage. Action adventure, you feel more than that, and if you do feel rage, it's at somebody in the game. It's not a real person, or it's not because the matchmaking is horrible.
If I could have one final say, Josh,
Go ahead. The floor
and
is
then
yours.
I will be done. I'm going to say this with a lot of passion because I truly do believe this. Jeremy said you can't just jump into a strategy game. There's too much in it. There's too many mechanics. There's too much stuff to learn. It takes too long. I think that's because strategy games do not sacrifice their ideals. They are the one of the few genres left that said, what we believe in, we're going to continue it. Yes, our games are hard to get into. Yes, they can be a little clunky. Yes, they're a little obtuse. But we know that if you really get into our game, you will love it because we have put all our passion into this. And I see that with a lot of strategy games. When you really jump into one, you can tell the passion is there. Something like Skyrim has gone so far away of what Morrowind used to be. There was such a diehard fan base of Morrowind, and they sacrificed that all to sell millions and millions. Good for them, but it's not anywhere near close to the RPG that Morrowind was. But you see a good strategy game, it's difficult, it's hard to get into, and that's because they have so much passion about the project they made. And that's why strategy games are the best.
Any last remarks before we close out?
I mean, I
blacked out for like half
Real quick,
this conversation.
real quick. Okay.
Battle Royales built Twitch. Dr. Disrespect, XQC, or whatever his name is, Shroud, Summit 1G, all these guys, they built their empires off of Battle Royales. Why? Because Battle Royales offer something familiar yet interesting every single time. And the stories that you get from matches and matchmaking, sometimes infuriating, and sometimes you able to win that match, and that immense feeling of accomplishment makes it all worth it.
I don't want to do any low blows here, but David,
I thought you were done.
I have one more point.
Isn't
here.
Battle Royale, but
David,
final point.
David has played action adventure games. He has played them. I've played strategy games. Jeremy, you can pretend all you want, but we know you've never played Battle Royale, all right? So what you're talking about...
Have I not Apex?
No, you have. We played together.
Oh, good for him.
Denied.
What a terrible...
Denied.
So,
I didn't see that coming at all.
The match is over. This is hard fought, like rounds. I applaud you all for your candor, your valiant efforts of debating, flexing your muscles of how you can actually show everybody like your knowledge of gaming and defend your ideas and your takes on what you believe and what you know is right and or wrong. But all appreciate it. So, without further ado, let me figure out who the hell won. I will say this: Corey did not win. Just based on the total.
Yes.
So
I think you just
What a
hit the
surprise.
episode now, huh?
Jeremy's cousin didn't pick me to win.
You just end this now.
No,
I will
like,
say, and
I
I
was
think
fair.
I think you can agree, this was your worst performance.
My worst performance.
This was your worst.
This was your most corporate performance. This is like you got a big paycheck and you went to every stock line that you could think of, walking simulators, battle royals. Like you went off of an outline that was just let me hit the highest points. I applaud David. He took massive challenges this episode. I think I took massive challenges. I argued for action RPGs to be disassembled. So, yeah, we got corporate Jeremy here.
This
is like when Triple H went
absurd.
This is like when Stone Cold teamed up with Vince McMahon. This is just embarrassing and despicable.
This was your worst performance. You have been sitting there sweating and heaving the entire episode.
Because of the pressure.
And you're going to say I'm being too corporate.
I think the audience at home will redeem me over this.
So I will say, and I have a log of everything that any word or thing that stuck out for like point wise. So like if Jeremy wants to go through and double check to make sure that my points is like right or anybody else, I have a log of it, except like question 1. So like I've given everybody points in different logs. So I was either handing out or subtracting points based on like what was said. The only person that had the most points subtracted was like Corey based on some of the stuff he said. Obviously one was like the God of War thing. So I had to subtract a point from that one.
What God of War thing?
It was when you was arguing action RPG and you know how much you hate it, but that was also the game that you love the most because you contradicted yourself within that argument.
No, I didn't, because the RPG part of God of War is not what makes it my favorite game. The action part is. That's all I was saying. It's the action of the game that makes it the greatest game, not the RPG part. The RPG part could go away, and nothing would change.
Cool.
It says that now.
I mean, I said it then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if I don't take it away, it'll still be like a 2-way tie. If I don't take it away, it'll be a 21-21 tie between Corey and David, and then Jeremy will have the 2-point lead with, and the only reason why he got that one because it would have been a 21-21 tie with Jeremy and David going into like another round of me having to figure out another question so they can battle it. But that last remark of like the points that he made actually gave him that buffer. But it was very close. It was very close.
It was the point about Battle Royales building the Twitch empire and all that stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of Twitch, Josh?
No, I don't like Twitch.
Oh, okay.
But it was
you don't like
but it was a
streamers?
point that actually makes sense because Twitch wasn't nothing until like Shroud and Dr. Disrespect, because that's when everyone started knowing the name. YouTube didn't pop until you actually got Stone Mountain, and then he moved over to Facebook because that's when like PUBG started happening. So like a lot of it, that Twitch and YouTube was actually really started popping off because of like CSGO and the PUBG Battle Royales.
I just don't see how Twitch means it's the best genre.
It's a genre that supports an entire different franchise.
Definitely supported the franchise.
Thank you, David.
No
It's
problem.
very obvious. I mean, it's unfortunate we're having to really explain things to someone in third place, but this is where we are.
No, I understand.
I would like to take an opportunity to thank the other players, Corey and David. You guys were great. I'd like to thank special guest Josh.
You're welcome.
That last question
This was
such
definitely
a
not
wrench.
biased in any way, shape, or form. Just putting it out there and letting everybody know. This is definitely not biased.
I 100% agree. I'm not sure Corey buys it, but I 100% agree. Anyway, I guess that leads us to that means that I've won this one, which thank you. But I guess since we've reached the end of the episode, that leads us to final thoughts. And final thoughts is a thought we want to make. It can be about something related or unrelated to the podcast. So we have 4 people here. Gentlemen, do we want to give our guest the final thought first, or when do you like to go ahead?
Whenever he wants to go, he can go.
All right.
I'm all for it, and I can go. Like,
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Josh, let's hear your final thought first then.
final thought first. Actually, guest hosting this episode was actually fun. Actually, seeing everybody like debate amongst one another is also fun. So, like, as always, I appreciate and thank you guys for having me and being able to like discuss games and actually banter with you folks. I will also leave everybody with a quote: "You can't hold the ground and touch the sky at the same time. You got to let one go." So, for all the people that's out there, you actually, in order for you to actually get somewhere in life, you actually got to let something that's holding you back go. So don't be afraid to let something go in order to achieve what you need to in life.
Nice.
Very
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Who would like to give their final thought next?
I'll go.
Okay.
He'll go.
He actually.
He left? Is that,
Yeah,
is
I actually
that
left.
the joke?
Okay, so this is more of a visual thing, but I'll talk about it. So today, it finally came in today. I bought this months ago. The 20th anniversary for the Meteora Linkin Park's album.
Ah, okay.
So it
yeah.
is- look how thick that is.
Oh, wow.
So it comes with vinyls, it comes with DVDs. It's amazing. There's a booklet in there. Of course, I'm not going to open it, but
No?
That's still amazing.
Yes, it is. This is probably my favorite CD from them. It's
Yeah.
hard to beat Hybrid Theory, but I listened to this so much, and I'm so glad it's finally here. And it just makes me miss Chester a little bit more,
Yeah.
That's my
So
final thought.
That's that's a like collector vinyl, right? So you're not
Yeah,
gonna.
there's vinyls in there and stuff like that.
You didn't get like a second one to open and play, and then one to
No.
display.
No, because it was expensive.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, losers do not get final thoughts.
I thought we all get final thoughts.
I just got
No,
one.
I'm telling you, losers don't get final thoughts. I'm not giving one. I don't deserve it.
Oh, okay. All righty.
So hard on
You
yourself.
do deserve
Corey.
it,
So
Corey.
hard on you.
No, I
You
don't.
do deserve it, Corey. Sorry. You do deserve it. No matter
know
what
what?
Jimber thinks.
I appreciate that.
You're like the adult that grounds yourself.
I expect
Um,
to do
better.
that.
I expect better of myself.
You lost by a point.
I like 3.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we take away the point for like God of War, it would be 2 points. But like it was still neck and neck the whole way through for everyone. Like everyone made like some fantastic points, I will say. That last question, the question before the mystery, if David actually would have answered more, he would have won.
All righty. Well, I will give my final thought then. My final thought is I appreciate special guests coming on with the show. It was helpful. Us all being able to debate each other. Also, final thought. I've been playing. I'll talk about it more in the next episode. I've been playing some Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. Been getting into it. Got the itch for it. Mostly don't like games that look like that and sound like that.
Have you got to the city building portion of that yet?
Yeah, it's like chapter 3 or 4, the kingdom building part.
Is that fun?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
There's some things I wish it would have had a little bit more in it, but it's all right. But yeah, I've been doing that. So just mention that because that's a game I usually probably wouldn't play, and so I've been playing it. But that is my final thought, which brings us to the end of level 59 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. If you liked what you heard, please follow the podcast on your preferred or on your you can follow the podcast on your preferred podcast platform. You can also follow us on the socials. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/Thoughts and Players, like it's all one word. We are on Instagram at Thoughts.Players. We are on Twitter, ThoughtsPlayer2. We are on the TikTok at Thoughts Players. We are also on YouTube, obviously, at Thoughts Players. We can find a video version of the podcast. And then also, we are on Patreon. if you would like to be a patron, like Josh is here, please make sure you check it out. We have 3 tiers, $2, $5, $7, Thinker, Player, All Around Slayer. Check it out. There's a bunch of different benefits and cool things that come with each of them. But that is it for me. Gentlemen, is there anything else?
Peace. Goodbye.
Later.
See ya. We'll catch you on the next level.